Hari Om. We'll start the class now. Narada Bhakti Sutra, Sutra number 58 onwards. 58 onwards. Sutra 58. Anyasmat Saulabhyam Bhakto. Anyasmat Saulabhyam Bhakto. 59. Pramanantarasya Swayam Pramanatvatcha. Pramanantarasya Anapekshvatvat Swayam Pramanatvatcha. 60. Santi Rupat Paramananda Rupatcha. Santi Rupat Paramananda Rupatcha. 61. Lokahanu Chinta na Karya Niveditatma Loka Veda Silatvat. Lokahanu Chinta na Karya Niveditatma Loka Veda Silatvat. 62. Natat Siddho Tat Asiddho Loka Vyavahara Heya Tat Sadhanam Cha Karyameva. Natat Siddho Tat Asiddho Loka Vyavahara Heya Kintu Falatyaga Tat Sadhanam Cha Karyameva. 63. Stri Dhana Nastika Vairi Charitram Na Sravaniyam. Stri Dhana Nastika Vairi Charitram Na Sravaniyam. Abhimana Dambha Adikam Tyajyam. Abhimana Dambha Adikam Tyajyam. 65. Tadarpita Khilacharaha San Kama Krodha Bhimanadikam Tasminneva Karaniyam. Tadarpita Khilachara San Kama Krodha Abhimana Adikam Tasminneva Karaniyam. Hari Om. My salutations to you for joining this class on Narada Bhakti Sutra. We have progressed quite a lot, and today we are at Sutra number 65. In these last few classes, we have seen how the easiest thing to do is bhakti. Out of all the types of sadhana available or yoga available, karma and bhakti, jnana, yoga, out of all the types of sadhana available, bhakti is the simplest. It's easily attainable compared to all of that. Because you don't require anything more than that, you don't require any qualifications. You don't have viveka, vairagya, satka sampatti, mokshutam. You don't need anything. You only need yourself. You don't require the intellect also. Buddhi hoga, meda hoga, nahi hoga, doesn't matter. You can do bhakti. Because bhakti by itself is a pramana for it. That bhakti doesn't depend on any other proof than itself. Bhakti itself is the nature of proof. And that bhakti is self-evident. Once you have bhakti, it's a bhakti. You don't have to prove anything to anybody. And he said bhakti is also Santi Rupat and Paramananda Rupat. It's the nature of peace as well as nature of Paramananda. What is Paramananda? It's the infinite bliss. Parama is infinite. Ananda is the bliss. So, this peace and bliss are synonymous. Where there is peace, there is bliss. Sukha. Okay. So, but then what do you think? Some people think that, oh, I'm doing bhakti and I'm doing this and that, and what people will think. You don't bother about people, what they think or what they think of you. Don't have worries and anxieties. What the world chooses or what they think about. And you would also don't bother about the love and about the gain and loss that you can get in the world. Lava, lavo, and ये सब भूल जाओ. Don't entertain worries and anxieties due to worldly losses. And Nivedita Atma, that means you surrender your own Atma to Bhagavan. Nivedan kar. You surrender yourself to Bhagavan. And that is the best thing to do. But one thing he says, that you renunciate all the worries, anxieties for anything that happens to you. I'll do some job and it will fructify or not, whatever the results, everything, you don't worry about it. Okay. That supreme law is gained on attaining the consummate law. That is the highest level. So when you attain that level of supreme law, you forget about the worldly material gains happening or not happening. You'll be rejoicing in that state of bliss. So, but then you must learn how to give up the anxiety, how to give up the worries, and how to rejoice in the bliss or the love of the Lord. So, then he's giving an advice that all these negative thoughts of sensuality, of wealth, of other atheists and the enemies, that should not come to your mind. If somebody talks about that, you don't listen to it. Not Savadiyam. So sunne ka nahi. Then you should also avoid negative qualities like pride and prejudice. All that you should give up. So having dedicated all the activities to the Bhagavan, one should turn his desire, anger, pride, and so on towards him alone. This is what the thought is now. Because this is what the Sutra 65 that we are talking about now, present today's Sutra. We have partly seen it last class, but we will continue this. Tadarpita Akhila Achara. So you surrender, dedicate all the activities that you carry out in this world to the Bhagavan, because he will take care of it. Kama, Krodha, Abhimana, Adhikam, also you dedicate to him or give it to him. What is this Bhagavan saying? Naradji is saying that you give Kama, Krodha also Bhagavan. How is it possible? He is saying, Tasmin Neva Karaniyam. Towards him alone, you should give all these negative qualities. See, this is something little different than what we have been discussing so far. We understand that Sadripu, Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mada, Machara, these are the 6 enemies. They are there in our mind all the time. So here, Bhagavan and Devarsi Narada, he told that all these things are Tyajyam. You give up. But how will you give up? So he says, all this you also dedicate to Bhagavan. The negative tendencies. When the mind is full of raga dvesa, you give to Bhagavan. When the mind is full of kama, krodha, that also you tell Bhagavan, you take it. Madhamachara also same way. Or anything negative. How is it possible? How to do that? Is now we will check this. So, how to renounce that? How to give up? त्याग कैसे करेंगे इसको? Our mind is always full of positive thoughts and negative thoughts. Daivi sampatti, asuri sampatti. We have a series of Daivi sampatti like daya, kshama, prema. These things are there, no? You love somebody, you are compassionate, you are kind, you are large-hearted. These are all Daivi sampatti. That will be there in the mind. Also, asuri sampatti is there. This kama, krodha, lobha, moha, these are the asuri sampatti. And many things are there. But fact is that your mind is always being, some thoughts will be there in the mind. Either Daivi sampatti or asuri sampatti. Either positive or negative, some thoughts will be there in the mind. Can you take out these negative thoughts from your mind? Can you totally replace it with positive thoughts? Can you remove everything from your mind? No one can remain even for a single moment without your own thoughts. So all these traits, if you remove, then it will be no mind. And no mind means what? There's no thought in the mind. That is the thoughtless state, Yoga Sutra says that yoga chitta vritti nirodha. But that is also nirodha. Sutra number 2 of Patanjali Yoga Sutra. Yoga chitta vritti nirodha. But nirodha is not cessation, not stopping the thoughts. Nirodha is restriction of thoughts. Here, if you restrict, yes, you restrict it, but you cannot stop it. If you fully stop it, then what happens? Mind becomes no mind. No mind means what? See, no mind is good for yoga. But for bhakti, you require the mind. How will you love the mind? How will you worship Bhagavan without mind? Can you worship? Can you worship Bhagavan without mind? Mind has to be there. So without mind, you cannot practice bhakti. So this is a bhakti shastra. So what is Narad is telling? For the practice of bhakti, mind is required. Right? As long as mind is there, all this lobha, moha, kama, krodha, it will be there. Some part, if not fully. So when the mind is under influence of this, the spirituality will find it difficult. No space to practice. It's a catch-22 situation. If you are totally removing, you are becoming no mind, you cannot have bhakti. If you no mind, if you have this, then there is little space for bhakti also. So, in such a situation, a bhakta or seeker, he will ask his guru, how to do this? Tell me. The compassionate guru will tell him how to practice this. So, teacher knows that this removal of kama, krodha, lobha, moha totally is impossible. some amount remains. Okay. No one can avoid fully. But when suppose you are a desire, kama is a desire is there. Desire when I say your mind is agitated. Mind is agitated how to possess that, how to bring that, how to buy that. The mind will be working that, where to get the money, which shop will buy, all that for possession or purchase, your mind will be working overtime. An agitated mind cannot be quiet. See, if you are thinking so much, the mind will not be quiet. So, only a quiet mind can get you spiritual experience. See, these are all interrelated. You think of too many things, the mind will be racing. A racing mind cannot be quiet. The mind which is not quiet, it cannot experience the spiritual progress. So, solution is to remove some of these traits, if not totally, or some of them. The condition of no mind is not acceptable for bhakti. So that's why this sutra is here. So he says that these 6 traits, kama, krodha, lobha, moha, mada, matsya, these 6 traits are the springboard for developing more desires and more. It multiplies. And it multiplies the mental activity also. So Naraji is advising that these traits, you don't remove. You turn it around to Bhagavan himself. How is it possible? So if you have a desire, the desire you should have for Bhagavan. The desire you should have for, say, doing the decoration or alankar of Bhagavan. Desire you should have for bhajan, kirtan of Bhagavan. The desire you turn towards Bhagavan. Suppose you have attachment. So you develop the attachment for the Bhagavan only. If you have krodha, anger also you turn towards, oh Bhagavan, you promised me this, you are not making this, you can also take out your anger with Bhagavan. May I am that poor person, I am praying you every day and you are not listening to me, you can also fire Bhagavan. Okay? So, when you turn these 6 enemies towards the objects of the world, then you develop additional emotions, thoughts, etc. Your agitation in the mind continues. And the negative forces, they become active. But when you turn these negative forces towards the Lord himself, the result will be positive. Because, like I told you, you are desiring that you'll pray for Bhagavan, or you will have the bhajans for Bhagavan, kirtan for Bhagavan. A desire you are turning from the object of the world to Bhagavan. So that means your bhakti itself will increase. So your spirituality, progress will accelerate, because your thoughts are being diverted from objects of the world to Bhagavan himself. Do you agree or not? Do you agree or not? Because you are diverting your thoughts, negative thoughts, from the objects of the world, from the material world to Bhagavan himself. So maximum time your thought will be centered around him. So that means your bhakti, obviously you are a bhakta already, you are a seeker of bhakti. So your bhakti will enhance, it will multiply. And you will have better spiritual progress. So you turn these negative traits to the Lord and you grow spiritually. Right? So this process of transforming the lesser urges or negative values into positive outcome is called a process of transmutation or sublimation. You must have heard these words, sublimation. In chemistry, the sublimation is a physical process. Sublimation, we know, you do the heat up, some chemicals, they sublimate, and instead of from a solid substance, they change to gas without going through the process of liquid, isn't it? Shishir Babu can tell, vouch for it. So from the solid state, it transforms into a gas instead of going through the liquid state. This is the process which is in chemistry. But in psychology, sublimation is a psychological process. It's a psychological defense mechanism involving redirecting the unacceptable or socially inappropriate impulses. What you don't like, what is the negative things, what are there, those you redirect and convert that into appropriate and acceptable constructive behavior. Totally unacceptable behavior, you convert that, redirect to acceptable behavior. This is a psychological process. So Bhagavan Narad is advising on this. So Narad is advising us, asking us to redirect our negative energy, negative traits, which are not acceptable, towards the Lord, so that same traits become positive, acceptable, conducive for us. And thereby, our behavior of those, the mind working overtime on tensions and other negative experiences, that will divert into bhakti. So sublimation is the process. And this is what Bhagavan is saying here. Kama krodha abhimana adhikam tasminneva karaniyam. Towards him alone, tasmin eva, and towards him alone, you divert. It's a good proposition. Let's see how much it can be carried out. Okay. So we completed Sutra number 65. I will go to Sutra number 66. This is also a nice Sutra. Sri Rupa Bhanga Purvakam Nitya Dasa Nitya Kanta Bhajanatmakam Prema Karyam Premeva Karyam Sri Rupa Bhanga Purvakam Nitya Dasa Nitya Kanta Bhajanatmakam Prema Karyam Premeva Karyam Sri Rupa Bhanga. Okay, now let's see the word meanings of this sutra. First one is Sri Rupa Bhanga Purvakam. Sri Rupa Bhanga Purvakam. Yeah. That means there is some Sri Rupa, three Rupas, triple forms. Triple forms and three forms are there. Those three forms, Bhanga Purvakam means Tordana, or transcending, or going beyond that. So going beyond that, three forms of experience. Then Nitya Dasa, Nitya Kanta, Bhajana Atmakam. That means you serve the Lord in a Nitya Dasa, like all the time like a servant, or Nitya Kanta, all the time like a spouse or a husband, and Bhajanatmakam, and also devoted with the bhajana. Bhajana means praying. You serve the Lord with bhajan, just like a devoted servant or a devoted wife. Prema karyam. Prema karyam means that love should be accomplished by this method. Prema eva karyam. Prema alone, that love alone should be cultivated, practiced, or accomplished or fulfilled. That is the ultimate goal. Prema eva karyam. So, the word meaning of this sutra becomes basically that going beyond the three factors of experience, love consisting of constant service, as in the case of a servant or a devoted wife, that love alone should be practiced. Now let us see this first thing. What is this happening? Bhagavan kidhar se kidhar. Now, Devarsi Narada is extolling the highest state of devotion. A devotion which one must pursue, the devotion we must cultivate, that a state where there is no Tri-Rupa. Tri-Rupa, you know, in our Vedanta, the Tri-Rupa is like a Triputi. You must have heard the name, Triputi. Triputi means three things, three states of experience, like the experiencer, the object of experience, and the act of experience. Like everywhere, the three things are there. Bhokta, Bhojana, and the act of that Bhojana. Like that, everywhere, Triputi is there. Same way here, we have the experience. When you are in the path of bhakti, you have either something you are the experiencer of bhakti. You have an object of experience, Bhagavan, and you have the act of bhakti. So these are three things. Like the Bhakta, Bhagavan, and Bhakti. These are the three. They are all separate. They are distinct as far as we know. Isn't it? When you sit in front of the Lord and you are doing upasana or puja, then you think that I am the dasa and he is the Bhagavan. So you have the difference. I am separate and he is separate. And what is transferring between Bhagavan and Bhakta is the bhakti itself, the devotion itself. So there are three stages, three separate experiences or entities involved. So this is called Triputi. So what is saying? Tri-Rupa Bhanga Purvakam. That means this transcending these three states of experience. These three states of experience, you transcend and remove the distinction between the Bhakta, Bhagavan, and the Bhakti. See how great thing it is. That means you are totally removing the distinction between the three. And by what? How can we achieve this? He means, Devarsi Narada is saying that you should practice this with such a devotion, the absolute devotion, that you should not find any difference between the three. When you are, your bhakti should transcend these differences, the distinctions between bhakti, bhakta, and Bhagavan. So how that he has given an example. Nitya Dasa, Nitya Kanta. That means like a Dasa. Dasa means a servant. Suppose you have a, this is also an indication that a sincere servant who is, who has loyalty towards you, who has respect towards you, who has trust with you, is sincere to you. So that servant will be like one with you. He's living with you and essentially he works for you and he works with love also. That is what the devotion to the master, the servant and the master. Same way, Nitya Kanta. That means all the time the wife, when she's supporting the husband, she is also sincere, she is also loving, and she is also dedicated, and she has respect for the husband, and she has trust for the husband. And along with all this, what is the difference between a servant and a wife? She trusts the husband, and also she is possessive. Some servants also can be possessive. And a servant who serves longer period of house he stays, he also can be possessive. Maybe possessive towards the younger children in a house, or because he has got a long, long association or loyalty with you, he can be possessive also. So this Nitya Dasa and Nitya Kanta are the two examples of the prema, the bhakti, or the service that is finding without any distinction. Whether the service is like a servant or a loving wife, that devotion has no sense of distinction between the Lord and yourself, between the master and servant, between the husband and wife. You become one. That is the goal to be achieved in this level of bhakti, to come to oneness. So an ardent devotee, he moves towards this goal of oneness, that experience of oneness with the Lord, where Bhagavan and the Bhakta, they are not two but one. They have already merged. There is no difference between the two. There is no triputi. This attitude and experience is to be cultivated by following a devotion between the master and the servant, or husband and wife. These are examples given, but something like that you should cultivate between Bhagavan and yourself. So there is, after that, there is no distinction. You become one with the Bhagavan. Such a love is expressed by some of the sages, some of the Mahatmas, who have realized that fulfillment of bhakti, they have realized that that is the ultimate goal, and they have become one with the Bhagavan. This alone can be achieved when you think, or you take it as a motto, that prema eva karyam. That means that love alone, that what I want doing, that alone is to be cultivated, to be practiced, to be accomplished, to be fulfilled. That is the fulfillment. Isn't it? The fulfillment of bhakti is where the Bhagavan and Bhakta merge with each other without distinction. So what is said here is Trirupa Bhanga Purvakam, is that Bhanga, you are transcending the three states of experience of Triputi, of Bhakti, Bhagavan and Bhakta. And once that is gone, the Bhakta merges with Bhagavan. That is the ultimate. And that is denoted by a state of bhakti, which is called, earlier we have seen that bhakti is without ananyo bhakti. Ananyo bhakti. Anyanya. Na anya. Na anya bhakti. That means there is no two, there is nobody else. Only Bhakta and Bhagavan, there is one only. Anyanya bhakti. That is the ultimate. So when you think like this, when you sometimes people compare bhakti yoga with jnana yoga or other yogas, see, ultimately the bhakti yoga you be one with the Lord. Same thing is in jnana yoga also. There is no difference between the two. So this is a state of bhakti that he is describing in the next mantra also. You want to go for a discussion or you want to continue? Hari Om.
Continue, sir.
Continue. Sutra 67. Bhakta ekanteno mukhyaha. Bhakta ekantino mukhyaha. The bhaktas in plural, devotees. Ekantino. Ekantino means ekanta, ekanta. There is one and only one. Only goal is Lord Himself. Single pointed devotion. Bhakti is single pointed devotion toward the Lord. Ekantino. Mukhya. Mukhya means mukhya. Mukhya means primary. So the devotees whose single sole goal is the Lord Himself and whose single pointed devotion towards the Lord is for the own sake. That is the state, that is the goal, and that is the primary goal. And the Bhakta has no other thing. Bhagavan is the only goal, and the Bhakti he has for that Bhagavan alone, nothing else. Single pointed sole activity is Bhakti, and that is directed towards the Lord Himself. So this is, it may seem very simple to understand. Yes, it is simple. There's nothing much. But when you go deeper into it, think over this, contemplate on this, how it is very, very important. Earlier, Devarsi Narad described two types or two levels of bhakti. Two levels. But one was the higher bhakti, or the other was the lower bhakti. Remember, he said that lower and higher. The bhakti which cannot be expressed, which cannot be, which has no desires, which has no attributes, which is extremely subtle, and that is aparoksha anubhuti, that is immediate experience. That bhakti is a higher level, supreme love. That supreme love is called the higher. So when a person, a devotee, reaches that state of bhakti, state of devotion, so for him there is nothing more. Whatever he thinks, whatever he does, it is only Bhagavan. He comprehends nothing other than Bhagavan. We have seen this. He only hears that Bhagavan. He sees that Bhagavan. He only feels that Bhagavan. Nothing more. Everything, all his sensory organs work towards Bhagavan only. Okay? And all his activities, either secular or spiritual, all are dedicated to Bhagavan. All these emotions also hover around the Supreme Lord. So this is the Supreme Lord. What a exemplary experience that we are thinking, which is Supreme Lord. If one can come to this state where he or she only thinks of Bhagavan and dedicates all his actions, thoughts, emotions, everything to Bhagavan, it is possible, provided we give up or renunciate the love that we are practicing towards the worldly people, worldly affairs, worldly material gains. One sutra he had told, no, see, you have certain quantity of love, bhakti or love, whatever you say. Most of that is directed towards your kith and kin, your son, daughter, daughter-in-law, all of them is directed towards that. You have to take out some love from there and offer that to Bhagavan. Slowly, that love towards the um, human beings or the dogs and cats and all that, that has to be directed or surrendered to Bhagavan. Then only this can happen. Otherwise, how can you think of only Bhagavan, only love him and nothing else? So this is the higher love. On the other hand, the lower or secondary love, Gaunya. We have talked about Gaunya Bhakti, we have seen. The secondary love is depending on your mental gunas. You have sattvic, rajasic, tamasic gunas with us. So the love will depend on that. You have the bhaktas also are with different traits. You can have artha, you can have arsarthi, you can have jigyasu and jnani bhaktas. Isn't it? These are all specified in this as well as in the Bhagavad Gita. This bhakti can be cultivated. See, most of us are like this, we are developing or cultivating or enhancing our bhakti from a lower level to a higher level. So this bhakti can be cultivated by us by different methods, by utilizing our time, maybe bhajan, kirtan, satsang, all that he has already given in the sutras. How to cultivate bhakti. Maybe one day we'll go through some of the methods he has advised how to enhance our level of bhakti. So this lower level of bhakti can be cultivated and it can be raised or increased, and that can reach the higher level. So thereafter, one can have the deep devotion towards the Lord, that can turn into supreme love that we have been talking. In this mantra, in this sutra, Bharaji is telling something else. That is something extraordinary, new experience. What is that? Ekantina. Bhakta ekantina mukhya. Which means that is another grade of bhakta who have soared into higher level beyond the highest disciplines of bhakti that we have known so far. Ekantina. He had only single-pointed goal, nothing more than that. They pursue as a primary goal, the love is pursued as a primary goal. All others are secondary. He doesn't think of any objects of the world, any material gains. He doesn't think of any relatives or son and daughter. He thinks of only Bhagavan. That is the primary goal. So, Ekantika is Eka Anta. That's a one single pointed goal. That goal is encompassing the devotion. That means there is no diversion, there is no other thought in the mind. There is no dissipation of energy also. The mental energy is not dissipated in where to get this shirt or where to buy a new sari or dhoti. Your mental energy is not dissipated. Everything is Bhagavan. If he thinks he will buy some clothes for Bhagavan only, how to do the Paran and all that, whatever he is doing for Bhagavan, he will think of that only. He will never think of his own self. He meditates on the Lord, but he will meditate on one Lord only. Whom he loves the most, he will meditate on that. Or one mantra or one guru. He'll take a mantra and continue to meditate on that. There is no distraction by any other thoughts or temptations for him. Even while he is meditating, he will be thinking of him only. No more distractions. His mind remains absorbed in the chosen point of contemplation. He has chosen this Bhagavan. I am contemplating on him, and or the mantras that he has taken for meditation. He knows that, and that will continue without any distraction. He is the devoted, he is loyal, he is faithful, with no confusing things or thoughts in his mind. This is called Ananya Bhakti. Ananya Bhakti. And this Bhakti, the Bhakta is seeking, his only goal is to be one with the Lord. Merge with the Lord as one without a second. That is the truth. That is the Bhakta and Bhakti and Bhagavan getting together. That is the greatest fulfillment of a Bhakti. Such Bhaktas are highest, noblest, and the glorious, most glorious. You find rarely any Mahatmas with such Bhakti. So such Mahatmas are there, yes, but they are attached to the Lord, extremely attached. That devotion is not a means to an end. He is not thinking that if I am devoted like this, I'll get somewhere. He is never thinking like that. And he also not thinking that through my devotion I'll get moksha. No. For him, being one with the Lord is moksha itself. There's no other thought. He's a Parama Bhakta. His existence has no other purpose except to seek, to practice, to discover and remain in oneness with the Supreme Lord. That is his goal, and his activities, everything is centered around that. This is Ananya Bhakti and Parama Bhakta. They become one with the Paramatma. So this is what he's saying. Ekantana Mukhya. Mukhya means the primary. The primary goal of this Bhakta is love, Bhakti for Bhagavan alone, nothing else. That means, वो बोलते हैं ना संसार त्याग कर दिया. Like that, he's not thinking of anything around the world. What is happening or not happening. He is happy with the Lord, and all his efforts are hovering around the Lord. With this, we conclude this sutra number 67. Okay. Thank you for joining. Hari Om. Hari Om.